Hi everybody, I'm Jordy McConnell, founder of the Ottawa Triathlon Club. Today I'm going to share with you a workshop that I hold for our members here in Ottawa every winter to help them learn how to create a training plan step by step. You obviously have the advantage of being able to stop the video to execute each of the steps. There is a very basic template that I created for the members, and I will include a link to that in the description of this video. So really, the first thing to know is that triathlon training is very simple, just like rocket science. No, it's not like rocket science. It's simple, or can be simple, if that's what you're after. Training the body is a simple matter of starting with a distance in each workout that you know you can complete comfortably, and then do your workouts every day, or when you have them scheduled, at the correct intensity, conversational pace as you're building your endurance. You need to then rest, your body rebuilds, and then the next week you increase the workload slightly, typically by 10%. Coaching can be very simple. Joel Filliol is one of the most renowned triathlon coaches in the world, and when he talks about his coaching method, 3 words: consistency, progression, patience. I've had the great pleasure of working with many elite coaches and elite athletes as well, and they all say the same thing. It's consistency. That is the key to success. So do you really need a plan? No, you don't need a plan. So that's it. You can stop right now. You can just do a little bit of swimming, a little bit of biking, a little bit of running, and then go out and do a triathlon. I don't recommend taking that approach for an Ironman, of course, but you can get a long way by just having fun in the summer and doing a triathlon. However, we're talking about training plans today. So there are advantages to a plan. First of all, it helps you to organize your time. There's 3 different sports we're training for, and you've got to fit it into your week with your family concerns, your work, etc. The second thing is accountability. By externalizing it onto a piece of paper or an app or what have you, piece of paper on the fridge, I think we'll all agree, is more accountable, because everybody gets to see it. But that gives you a little bit of accountability, and you stare at that form, and you know you need to make sure to get all of those building blocks in. A training plan also allows you to step back if you are posting your results from each workout, be able to step back and objectively look at what's going on and not decide how you're feeling on a certain day. You're able to step back and see the trends, especially with regards to your overall fatigue. The final thing is that training plan can serve as a great souvenir. I did an Ironman back in '97, and I certainly value that training plan more than I do my photo or my medal, because every one of those workouts, not every one, but I remember a lot of them, and they were wonderful workouts, a great journey, and that's what it's all about, right? Is enjoying the journey. So the secret, everybody's looking for the secret to triathlon success. There is no secret. That said, the sports and fitness industry, boy, they'll have lots of suggested secrets. If you want to sell a triathlon magazine or a running magazine, just put the word secret on the cover, and boy, oh boy, everybody needs to just make sure that they're not missing that secret. You will get 95% of the way as a recreational triathlete, and that's who I'm talking to today. I'm not talking about your Kona qualifiers or your people that are trying to train for the World Age Group Championships. I'm talking about the majority, the 95%, 99% of triathletes out there. So those recreational triathletes, you will get 95% of your gains by just consistent, simple, smart training. The other 5%, those are the fine-tuning that a personal coach might make, or an investment in more equipment. Speaking of elite coaches, Karen Smyers is certainly one of my favorite triathlon people that I've ever met. She did something that nobody will ever do again. She won an Ironman and the World Championships in Olympic distance in the same autumn back in the 90s. So what she said, and what other coaches have said as well, is pick a plan, any decent plan, and just stick to it. Don't jump around. Don't go from this month's Triathlete magazine training plan and then suddenly March's issue comes out and you start doing that one. Just stay on a plan and be consistent. So it can be very simple. And that's my nature. But I totally respect that some people like complications. They like to be sophisticated because that's what motivates them. And that is awesome because you need to know what motivates you. So some like to have all of the data from their watch or their cycle computer and download it to their computer and chart and such, or use training peaks and things like that. With complexities as well, as I mentioned, if advanced athletes, they need to dig a little bit deeper into the complexities of workout creation and periodization and such. The bottom line is that the complexities in triathlon training, if you introduce them, the key is that they motivate you to train, that they don't become a weight on your shoulders. Because if they stop, the complexity stops you from getting those those workouts in, then you're not going to advance. Remember, consistency is key. So first, before we look at the training plan creation, let's keep in mind what is the time commitment we're looking for. These are just numbers that I've picked out of the air from my experience of about 35 years in triathlon. First of all, here in Canada, the government recommends that we get 3 to 6 hours of physical activity a week. Well, you're going to be able to do a lot in triathlon with that amount of time. If you're doing a super sprint triathlon, if you can exercise 3 hours a week, fantastic. Now, first of all, with all of these different events, there's a plus sign, because obviously if you're training for super sprint, you're training 12 hours a week, you're going to do great. All right. So you train as much as you want, but really it starts around 3 hours a week. For a sprint distance, 3 hours to 5 hours a week. Olympic, you're looking at starting at around 5 hours. And obviously with all of these events as well, when you're reaching your peak volume, a month or 6 weeks out from your event, then that's where you're going to be at the top, the higher end of the scale. A half iron looking at 8 to 10 hours plus. An Ironman, typically 10 hours plus, certainly for the last 16 weeks, say, of a training plan. You can, if everything's fine, if you're healthy and you have no injuries and you have experience in the sport, you can break the rules for sure. You can train for an Ironman on 8 hours a week, but do know that the hurt factor at the finish line and the hurt factor in some of those training workouts is going to be higher. So you got a big decision to make there. If you are in need of developing skills, especially swimming, well, you're going to have to spend a little more prep time in the pool. So keep that in mind. Another factor that comes into deciding what distance you're doing is keeping everything in balance, your enjoyment level and your life's priorities, including family and work. Steve Magnus is a professional running coach, and he said something recently that I paraphrased here, that the workout details don't matter as much as the fact you are consistently training and building. The magazines love to post the workout of the week, and they're really complicated. Joel Filial once said that if you have to write the details of a swim workout down, it's too complicated. So again, it doesn't have to be complicated, but if that motivates you, then awesome. We do have a ton of workouts, of basic workouts, on the OttawaTriathlonClub.com website, so take a look for those. So we're going to build a plan. We're not going to put all the detailed workouts in. You can get those workouts from our website, as I just said. The endurance workouts, where you're building your endurance, are very simple. The time slowly increases, and your workouts are done at conversational pace. I'm not going to talk about heart rate here. Just keep it simple. Again, we're talking about recreational triathletes. If you want to get into heart rate, you can do that separately. Tempo workouts, or your second workout a week in an event. I'll show you a very simple way to put a higher intensity workout into your plan. And you can do that, or again, you can go for more complex workouts for that high intensity workout. And the example that I'm going to build that you're going to see is a 6 hour a week half iron plan, roughly, or sorry, 6 workout a week half iron plan. And so if you're training for try, don't be freaked out by that. All right, I will show you a simpler training plan near the end. But if we're going to build, we may as well build the more complex. So the first thing that we're going to put in our top line of our training plan is the repeatable week. This is the key. This is what leads to that consistency. So what day can you swim on? What days can you swim on? What days can you bike on? What days can you run on? What's your habit? What's worked so far? What's going to work for your family? Make sure that you strategically place one rest day a week in there as well. If you are training for sprint or tri super sprint, then as a minimum, you want to do each sport at least once a week. Ideally, a second short run in a week is really needed because of the impact that your body needs to be able to handle the future training. For or the Olympic distance and longer, 2 of each sport is what I recommend. Definitely 2 if you are have a limiter. So if you're not a great swimmer, definitely try to get in the water twice, 3 times if at all possible. But I know it's hard to get to the pool. You got to drive, change, shower, swim. It takes a lot of time to get a swim workout in. If everything's equal as far as your abilities go, know this, that swimming is the shortest component in triathlon. So 1 good quality hard swim a week, a good hour workout for Olympic or shorter, you can get away with that if you're a strong swimmer. Then you can invest that time, which is at a premium, into your bike especially, and perhaps your run as well. If everything's equal, do what you enjoy a little bit more. And if it means sacrificing a little bit of your finish time, then that's a decision that many athletes make, I know. If you're adding a 3rd workout a week, in a sport, be very careful. Start that, introduce it at a very minimal amount. Like 15 minutes is very, very beneficial. And then see how your body adjusts to that and slowly build it from there. But be very careful, because for recreational triathletes, that 3rd workout can really lead to overtraining and injury. So great caution there. When you're placing for your repeatable week, try to space your same sport workouts at least 2 days apart. So ideally, you're not going to swim on Monday and Tuesday and then have 5 days off, because you'll get a little rusty. So try to get a little separation in there if it's possible. Sometimes in life, it's not possible, so you do what you got to do. So here's a repeatable week. And again, this is just a working copy. It's not considered a recommended training plan per se to in one individual. So in this case, this person is doing one of our club swims on Monday. On Tuesday, they're doing a tempo run. Off on Wednesday. The TTP is our triathlon training program at our studio where they spin and do strength. Another swim on Friday, a endurance run on Saturday, and endurance bike on Sunday. That's typically how things fall, because that's when we have more time if we're off work. The next step, step 2, is to add your events. So we have our repeatable week. So find out what events you're doing and put them on the calendar, but also put a little letter beside them to categorize them. Your A race is your most important race. A B race is one you want to do okay in, but it's less important. A C race maybe is just social or just one you're going to train through. This has pertinence to how much you taper for the event that we'll talk about later. So here's that form, and here I've put in 4 events, including a sprint tri as a B race, a 70.3 as an A race, a 10K run as a C race, and an Olympic triathlon as a B race later in the summer. Remember, at any time, pause, do your work, come back to the video. So here we go. We're working back. We've got our event. Now let's just slot in the taper. Now, admittedly, taper is a very personal thing, and the longer you're in the sport of triathlon, the more you're going to learn what works for you. Well, as a recreational triathlete, looking for a starting point, here's a good, simple, basic taper that works for a lot of athletes, the majority of athletes that I've worked for. First of all, why do we taper? Any workout you do within 7 days of an event is going to create fatigue that won't be absorbed until after the event. So that's 7 days anything you do that's hard is going to hurt you on race day. So we want to fully recover from all of the load and be in peak condition for race day. No workout you do the week before a race should in itself require recovery. What you want to do the week before the race is just remind your body what it feels like to swim, bike, and run. Not really fatiguing yourself. The longer the race, the longer the taper, because you've put in more training in preparation and there's more fatigue to absorb. So, an A race. Here's how I recommend to put in the days preceding an A race. This would be any race, any distance really. The day before a race is not a rest day if you can, because you want to just do a very short swim, a very short bike, and a very short run just to loosen up. Not going to cause any fatigue, you're not going to be tired, but the morning of the race, the next morning, you're going to feel sharp. 2 days out is a rest day. 3 days out, a short swim. 4 days out, a short bike. 5 days out is the short run, because it takes a little longer because of the impact to recover. 5 days for anything sprint or shorter for most athletes is sufficient. But again, you're going to learn yourself what works for you. 6 days out for a sprint distance or shorter is just normal training. Now, during that lead up to the race, those 5-6 days leading up to the race, if you have a race pace, so say you're not just trying to finish the 5K run, but you're trying to run it in 25 minutes, then I recommend in the middle of your easy run that you have a 1 minute build up to your race pace. So you build up to that 5-minute kilometer, and then for a minute, and then you slow right back down for another 4 minutes or so. You do that 2 or 3 times. It's not going to cause fatigue, but it's going to fire your nerves so that that race pace is feeling familiar on race day. For an Olympic triathlon, days 6 to 9 out, just take whatever your peak load was heading into this taper and cut it by half. Half iron is 6 to 14 days out, 50% of that peak load. And iron distance is much more complicated. I'm not going to talk about the 4-week iron taper here. That's a whole video unto itself. So if it's a B race, 5-day taper is good. That helps you to practice your taper, see if it works for you. A C race is not very important to you, so maybe a 3-day, 2-day, 1 day, or no taper at all. Maybe you just train right through it. Just keep in mind, nothing you do within 7 to 10 days before a race, any hard workouts, is going to help you on race day. All right? So just trying to remind your body how it feels. Any hard workout, it's going to hurt you. So there's the tapers for the events that I have on my training plan. The first one is a sprint try, and you can see I went with a 5-day taper. Then a 2-week taper for the 70.3, a 1-day taper for that C race, and a 7-day taper for the Olympic try at the end of the summer. Recovery weeks. Most recreational triathletes, I highly recommend to them to book in every 4th week as a recovery week. So we amass fatigue, and even if we're sleeping well, and even if we have that day off, and even if our training plan is well balanced, we're still going to bank some fatigue. And after 3 weeks, history shows that recreational triathletes tend to wear out a little bit. So they need that recovery week to fully absorb the benefit of the training and then start again in peak fitness, just like we do for a race taper. And really, that is how we deal with a recovery week. You just do enough to remind your body how it feels. You're not looking to fatigue yourself on a recovery week. And don't worry about losing fitness during a recovery week. You're not going to lose fitness. You're going to gain fitness. Because if you tested yourself, like your power on the bike, the day before you go on recovery week, and then the day after your recovery week, your scores will be higher after the recovery week. You're going to gain fitness. So one word to the more experienced triathletes, what a lot of them do out there is they don't actually book in a recovery week. They just really monitor their wellness and their workload response. and then they throw in rest when needed. That's an advanced approach I really recommend for recreational triathletes to book in every 4th week, roughly, as a recovery week. So you can see that our chart is starting to fill up. There's roughly every 4th week, I've done a recovery week, just basically cutting everything by half, 0.5 of whatever I was at the week before. I'll do 0.5 of that. So that's starting to fill up the season nicely. Now here we come to the core of the training plan, the key workouts, the long workouts. This is where we build endurance slowly but surely at a conversational pace. We add 10% roughly per week, and we start at a realistic amount, whatever we can do today at the starting point comfortably without feeling sore the next day. And we will build to roughly a target long workout duration or distance. I typically work in duration. Doesn't really matter which you choose to use. And once you arrive at that, say, 2-hour run, then you keep repeating it with a few blips and rests along the way, but you just keep repeating that 2-hour run. So generally recommended. There they are for the super sprint. Now let me say that the swim workouts listed here are swim workouts. They're interval workouts for the most part, with the exception of the Ironman. So for example, Olympic, if you're doing a 60-minute hard interval workout with rests and such, then you're going to be okay you're going to be fine for swimming 1,500 meters. The bike and run are conversational pace continuous workouts. Ironman, you want to get in the full distance or over distance in the case of the swim is what I recommend. Be careful about when you're building up about racing yourself. Allow yourself on some days to run at a slower pace if that's the way your body is responding to the workout. Don't be a slave to your watch. All right, just listen to your body. So here you can see I've put in the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I put them in as 60-minute workouts for the swim, and you can see I built the duration of the long runs there and the long rides. Tempo workouts. So let's put in a second workout in the week for each sport. Now, they don't have to be tempo. They don't have to be intense at all. They can be conversational pace as well. And for brand new triathletes, nothing wrong with that. However, after 8 weeks of conversational pace, if you are interested in getting more bang for your buck, I recommend introducing a little higher intensity section to your workout. You get a big bang for the buck, including greater economy, power, VO2 max, just greater fitness by going a little harder than a little uncomfortably hard, let's say. So when we do start to go a little higher intensity, we got to be mindful to avoid injuries. So we got to make sure to warm up for at least 10 minutes, then start with a very, very attainable amount and build very slowly. I mentioned JEDI and FIFE there. JEDI stands for do just enough to improve. Don't jump ahead and do too much, like racing yourself and testing yourself. And FIFE stands for finish injury-free every day. If we enjoy swimming, biking, and running, that's got to be our major goal, is just to keep swimming, biking, and running. A word about repeatable workouts. Now, repeatable workouts can apply very, very well to tempo workouts. For example, if you're doing 5 times 100 in the pool with 1 minute rest, you do that every week or every 2 weeks as a section of your workout, and you can see from week to week exactly where your fitness is, because those paces will get faster and faster and faster unless you're carrying extra fatigue, and they're a red flag for fatigue as well. So they're very effective that way. These types of workouts as well build physical confidence, which is just a subconscious response to your performance and allows you to really get the most out of your fitness. So sample tempo workouts. You're training for a Olympic triathlon. Build until you've done your race distance, 1,500 meters, in 100-meter intervals. So build until you can do 15 times 100 with a minute rest. Once you're there, cut it to 45 or 30 seconds rest. Very simple build, but progressively built. On the bike, do intervals of 5 minutes hard but sustainable with a 5-minute recovery. That's after a warm-up and preceding a cool down. If you can do 4 to 8 of those for a sprint workout, fantastic. Olympic, 8 to 12, half Ironman, maybe 12 of those intervals. Now running, this is where the injuries happen, is running hard. So be very, very cautious and build carefully. I recommend this classic 35-minute run, 10-minute warm-up, well, more than 10, but right in the middle of that 35-minute run, you do 2 minutes, hard but sustainable, just a little bit harder than normal. See how you feel. The next week, if you felt fine, take it to 4 minutes. Slowly but surely build that hard but sustainable section in the middle of your run until it's at 20 minutes. And then you got a 5-minute cool down. Very, very effective. If you can build to 20 minutes, that's great for sprint or Olympic. If you can build to 30, so taking that run a little longer for half iron, you're going to be in great shape. So suddenly our training plan is full. We've added our tempo runs in. Again, I haven't added the details, but I've explained them in the preceding slide. Brick workouts. So doing a bike run workout, running off the bike, teaches your brain how to run on tired legs. And, you know, everybody feels like crap coming off the bike. The very best in the world do, but it doesn't slow them down, right? You just got to be mentally ready to push and have faith that the legs will come. You'll start to feel better as those running muscles start to activate. So the simplest way to add a brick is to do a very short run, like 5 minutes at the end of your long ride. Build that to 15 minutes for a sprint or Olympic distance and 30 minutes for half Ironman. Simplest way to do it. Don't race hard. Don't run hard off the bike in training. Save that for race day. Just run at an easy pace. And don't overdo the brick runs because that is such a heavy metabolic cost on you. It'll take you days and days to recover if you go too hard. And remember, consistency is key. If you do a brick every week or every second week, at least starting 4 weeks out from the race, preferably a little longer, maybe 12 weeks, then you should be fine. Triathletes, and most triathletes don't do any strength training, especially during the season. If I'm not lifting a dumbbell in the race, I'm not going to lift a dumbbell in training is the mentality. And that's why so many injuries happen. Addressing the muscular movement patterns and making sure that you're remaining balanced, addressing muscles that aren't being used in swim, bike, run, is really, really important to train the movements, not the muscles. The time I like best to do a short strength workout, even 10 minutes a week is fantastic, is after a tempo workout. You've got more time and you've got more mental focus. You're not as depleted as after an endurance workout. And 2 weeks out from your race, just pause it, pause the strength, but remember to maintain your mobility. And we do have resources for strength training on our website. So it doesn't have to be complicated. For a sprint distance, if you do a swim, especially a coach-led swim, you do our TTP, which is a spin and strength, which in the spring adds a short run off the bike. If you do an easy long run, an easy long bike, and maybe a short second run, then you're great for a sprint distance triathlon. So there's a training plan that's a little more simple. This person is only training 4 days a week and has a brick on Wednesday, spin strength run, swim on Monday, run on Friday, bike on Sunday. It can be simple. Monitor your response. So every plan is liquid. You can't just publish a plan and say that's exactly what's going to take place. You can't tell how fast your body's going to adapt to training. So I highly recommend that you make notes in your training plan about how the workout went and how you're feeling from day to day. If you miss workouts due to illness, don't pretend you made them. You've got to readjust the whole training plan ahead based on how you're feeling and what your fitness is like when you are feeling better from that illness. and we can only assume you're going to have lost a little bit of fitness. Track your daily your daily wellness. Yeah, wetness too. I suppose you're sweating stuff, right? Your daily wellness for how you're feeling generally each morning on a scale of 1 to 5, from awesome to crappy. It monitors your sleep, your stress, your nutrition, your training load. And if you start to see a pattern after a week or two where your scores are going lower, then you might consider putting in some easier workouts, or even throwing in a short recovery week or a full recovery week. Each workout, you need to respond and make a note of that, at least mentally. If it was too easy, then that's great. Increase the workload. If it's comfortable in an endurance workout, that's the way it should feel. It's comfortable. If it's a tempo workout, comfortable, that's not what we're after. We want to be a little bit uncomfortable. We want it to feel a bit hard. So if the workout felt hard, if it was an endurance workout and you're nowhere near your peak length, maybe it was too hard. Review and maybe stay at the level or duration you're at now before building again, or maybe even drop back a little bit. If it was a tempo workout and it felt hard, fantastic. That's the way this should feel. No workouts, though, should ever feel too hard. If you can't complete the workout, something's wrong. Time to review, decrease the load, tweak the training plan. So here's a way that you can score it with workout rating. So we look at Monday's swim, the workout rating. It was a hard workout. My daily wellness is 1. I felt good. On Friday, I did another swim. The workout rating, it was comfortable, but my daily wellness is 3. So I'm starting to get a little bit tired. But by Sunday, I'm back up to 1, so no problem. Other possible data that you can add to your training plan, besides the wellness and the workout rating, is your intensity, so your heart rate, average heart rate, peak heart rate, your perceived exertion, your speed, pace, power, the exact intervals, the rest interval, your fluid and nutrition if you're training for long distance triathlon. How much fluid and nutrition did you take in on your long ride, for example? And another small thing is your location and your route. So there's how to build a training plan. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, you can keep it simple, but you don't have to. I'm Jordy McConnell for the Ottawa Triathlon Club.